Good afternoon. My name is Penny Nicholas and I'm a project manager here at AMP, currently working in the Finance Transformation Program. And I'll be your host today for today's Amplify session for Rethinking Employees, Rethinking Brand and Rethinking Culture. I'd like to extend a special welcome to visitors to AMP who are here today, members of the AMP board, members of the media, and members of our online community who are accessing us via our live stream. And also would like to welcome all of the AMP staff that are here. So welcome everybody. Shortly I'll be handing over to one of our valued sponsors, Russell McDonald from RMA Recruit. And he will give our keynote speaker, Cheryl Burgess, a deserving introduction. Cheryl's keynote will run for around 20 minutes, and after that we'll be open to Q&A. We have a couple of roving mics in the audience, so if you have a question or something you'd like to share, please don't be shy, just put up your hand, we'll get a mic to you. Just state your name and where you're from and far away. We'll also make time to take questions from our live stream. One thing I'd all ask you to do is embrace the wonderful collaboration tools that Annalie and the Amplify team have made available. We've got it all here. There's a Facebook account for Amplify, there's a Twitter handle. If you're sharing your thoughts, use the Amplify Fest hashtag to follow in the conversations. There's even a chance to win an iPhone 6 if you just download the Amplify app and engage with that also. For many of us, social media in our personal lives is a well-established part of our media landscape. I'm sure many of us here have gone through a self-imposed Facebook ban as they've realised how much time they are spending in that addictive little blue world. Many of us have also made an attempt to establish ourselves on the social media scene professionally. We might have Twitter handles, LinkedIn profiles, and we might make the odd pithy reply on our corporate collaboration streams. But it's a smaller number of us who are truly socially competent in the professional social media scene. And while organisations are making attempts to embrace the use of social media inside their corporate walls, and may even have established a collection of expert insight videos in the public arena, we possibly still have not become truly social businesses that connect and collaborate deeply, internally, and extend that engagement outside our business to our partners and our customers. Cheryl has the unique position of being extensively connected to a number of businesses who have successfully navigated this, such as IBM, Dell and Cisco, to name a few. They have been trailblazers in this journey of embracing social media and becoming social businesses through empowering their employees in this space. So, without further ado, I now call on Russell McDonald to give Cheryl a deserving introduction.
Thank you very much, Penny. I'll use this so I can refer to my notes. Good afternoon. My name is, as you're aware, is Russell McDonald. I'm the Managing Director of RMA Recruit. We're an IT recruitment firm specialising in the placement of permanent and contract IT staff and contractor workforce management. I'm joined here today by members of our Melbourne and Sydney team. Our relationship with AMP is long-standing, and I'd like to thank the Amplify founder, Annalie Killian, for the invitation to participate once more in this marvellous event. And we're delighted to be sponsoring Cheryl's presentation today. Now I'm going to refer to my notes here because I don't want to miss out on anything as far as Cheryl's experience is concerned, or at least, well, we've got some of it. Now, Cheryl's the CEO of Blue Focus Marketing, and Cheryl helps organisations transform their brands by implementing strategic social business initiatives that empower social employee engagement, straight from the website. She's the co-author of the best-selling book, The Social Employee, that includes success stories from AT&T, IBM, Dell, Cisco, Southwest Airlines and Adobe. Her writing goes beyond her own books, as evidenced by contributions to Harvard Business Review, as an expert blogger for CEO.com and CMO.com, and as a contributor to the Wharton Future of Advertising 2020. Cheryl is also a special advisory board member to the Economist Intelligence Unit, which provides risk and industry analysis across 200 companies worldwide. And in 2014, she was listed as one of Forbes' top 5 influential CMOs. Now, why is RMA Recruit sponsoring Cheryl's talk today? Well, we're supporting Cheryl because we're in the business of employee engagement. And employee engagement is not simply a matter of identifying skills and experience, but it's also culture and values. And in Cheryl's work, she often discusses employees who are becoming their own brand. And of course, in recruitment, as users of social media, we basically look at a candidate's digital footprint these days while we're making an assessment of their suitability to either a role or more particularly an organisation. So whatever's out there, we're interested in when we're making decisions about whether you're suitable to place with one of our clients such as AMP. It now gives me great pleasure because I'm here to also learn from, and I've had an introductory discussion with Cheryl. She's already taught me a few things or told me things I've got to do. So I'm really looking forward to hearing more about that. So this is Cheryl Burgess. She's here to talk about rethinking employees, rethinking brand and rethinking culture. And she also tells me, and rethinking leaders. She's been already giving me a hard time. So in her words, the priceless power of socially savvy employees is very important. So over to you, Cheryl.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Russell. Thank you, Penny. Thank you, Anne-Marie Killian. And thank you so much for inviting me here today to be with you. It's been an exciting trip. And this morning started off with a wonderful breakfast with my very favorite John Hagel, who I really aligned to his philosophies and thinking. So that was in itself a unique and wonderful pleasure. So I'm going to start today by talking to why we're here. So we're really here today, all of us, because we believe in the power of ideas and innovation in a world that is disrupted by digital technology. And this is changing the way we think about employees, the way we think about culture and leaders. Everything is changing. Even change is changing. At one time, social had a different definition than it does today. Well, now we say social, quickly we think social media. But I'm going to bring you on a journey where social media was the beginning point, and now brands are, the very smart brands were doing social media. Now the even smarter brands are becoming social businesses. And I had the unique pleasure of doing a tremendous amount of research and studies into some of the big brands like IBM, Cisco, Dell, Adobe, Southwest Airlines, and even a couple smaller ones, Domo, which I'll tell you more about. It's a unique journey and one we're going on together because each of you in this room, I hope when you leave, you become your own brand ambassador for yourself and for your company. That's important. We're like in a revolution. Sometimes I think I didn't write a book. I feel like I'm part of and started this revolution because what happened was, I'll tell you a quick story because we don't have that much time. I was writing, invited by AT&T to help them with their external blog because of my thought leadership ideas in social media and social branding. And because what they called me an unexpected success, which I'm just like, whoa, I don't know if that was a compliment or not. But because of my networking and able to connect with very senior leaders and around the world, they wanted me to speak to over 100 of their executives. In doing so, the next thing I know, fast forward, I'm running for McGraw-Hill. And so it's a longer story. If we had more than 25 minutes, I'll gladly tell you. But the story, what I'm really trying to say, I realized that every brand in my book was on a journey. No one knew what the others were doing. This great thing about the book, it was able to bring together all the case studies for the first time. And I think all the brands in the book wanted to know, what are the other brands doing? And that was a good step. So let's start from what is reality. We're no longer confined to offices. We can work remotely. In fact, we can work even on the beach. And this is changing because of digital technologies. This is becoming possible. If you remember, we received our news and from newsmen, but we still gather news, so that concept hasn't changed. Perhaps we're not using typewriters, but some of us do remember using them. But the digital newsroom has changed in the sense that now we can even have iReporters, Periscope, and Meerkat. So even that's changing. But brands are under pressure. And there's actually a chapter in my book called Brands Under Pressure. And what I really thought about why this is happening, because the stories are the same. Every brand realizes that they know that the digital disruption is changing how they communicate to their clients. So it's basically the new paradigm now is do it faster, do it quicker, do it smarter and cheaper. All right, why? Tell me the last time you ever listened to an advertisement and you thought, okay, I'm going to watch a commercial because I want to learn what I need to buy in fashion. I mean, you don't, do you? I just find a way to fast forward it. But in reality, 78% of the people trust peer recommendations. And word of mouth is even 10 times more powerful than traditional marketing. But what's going on? And John Hagel even talked about this. And actually, this is a lot of his thinking, too. It's not just mine. In industries, there's these powerful immune systems and antibodies that are really afraid of risk, afraid to move forward. But we need to make those changes. And the reason why is because the world is changing. So I asked the crowds this morning, so if you already were there this morning, you can't cheat. But what is more important, culture or strategy? Yes, people, the culture. In fact, that is a sign on the top above the Ford boardroom. Strategy, communities are culture, and culture is what will eat strategy for breakfast. So I love, when I was writing the book, I thought about this too. I thought, okay, we understand social business. When I first looked at social business, I was following IBM, and I was really interested in what they were doing. And it seemed so complicated to me, but I thought, one thing they keep repeating is about employees. And going back to the work I did with AT&T, AT&T was amplifying their company's brand by using the 80-20 rule. And by that, I mean 80% of sharing content of the personal experience of that employee and 20% about the brand. And basically, brands need to have that ability within an organization to communicate externally. But first, they need to tear down the silos. And I know that seems impossible, but guess what? Other companies are doing it. And they're doing it very, very quickly. And when they do that, when they learn to communicate internally, they will be able to communicate externally. Now, when I talk about social employees, that does not mean they're all external facing, doing Twitter, Facebook. Please don't get confused. Social employees are innovators. They work internally or they can work externally. But in all cases, they are trained by their company and they are aligned to the mission and the vision of the company. So here is a little concept of what social business is, about this internal collaboration that goes out externally. Social business is basically process, the technologies, and the people, working together to have a deep impact into your organization, to have an ability to develop ideas, innovation, collaborate. And it's very important because other brands are doing it. They're doing it very quick. So this is one simple little analogy. And if any of you know Tom Peters, I'm sure you do, he's actually rated my book as his best social business book out there. And he loves this analogy in the book. And it's an IBM analogy. And what it is, it's an IBM analogy of social business. So the baseball represents an organized, structured company, command and control. And the bag of marbles represents a social business. If you drop them in the bucket of water, both displace the same amount of water. The difference, the difference is the amount of surface area. The bag of marbles would displace 300% more surface area than the baseball. And the bag of marbles represents your employees who go through your entire organization, collaborating, communicating, and some of them externally communicating as well. So it's a simple analogy, but it's very impactful. The world is changing, and we talked about this through a lot of the conferences throughout today and yesterday. And this is no surprise. Millennials make up about 50% of the worldwide workforce. In 2030, they'll be 30%. And millennials think differently. They want to participate. They want to be part of the whole process. They want to feel good about what they do. A social employee is one who understands they're trained and skills by the organization. They communicate either internally, as I said, or externally. And they are aligned to the brand's mission, vision, and value. Edelman, and I almost got in trouble today with this one, Edelman's Trust Barometer will ask you, who's more trustworthy, employees or the CEO? And I guess I should leave at this point. But employees are more trustworthy than the CEO. And that's only because the voice of the employees are considered to be transparent and valuable and authentic. But if you look at it, if we look at it from a marketing point of view, because we're talking about social branding in this particular case, it's also dealing with HR and other aspects. But if you just look at the marketing part of it, when an employee is branded and aligns to the values of a company, think of them as a new marketing channel. It does not replace your marketing. With all the constraints and budgets, it's a new way to market. And what's happening is it's becoming a very successful way. But first, it has to be a win-win. I must say that. The employee wants something out of it, like what's in it for me? Why would they want to do it? And unless you have a benefits for the company and the employee, you will not have a successful organization. For the company, they have more leads, they have better employee retention, and they also have the ability to be transparent and authentic in this market where people don't trust brands. But this is where it's getting ready for the video, guys. Okay, so brands need to, again, align their mission, vision, and value. And I'm going to show you a quick video because we're running out of time, so I have to keep moving. Okay, play it. This is a video about treat your employees as your brand. And go on.
Think of your brand as a planet and your employees as satellites in orbit. In social business, each individual satellite is connected to the others through its own specialized network, coordinating its efforts in service of the brand. Unfortunately, today we're seeing that many of these employee satellites are in danger of breaking orbit from their home planets in favor of brands with a stronger pull. According to a 2013 Forbes study, over 40% of employees don't respect their superiors. Over 60% don't feel their career goals align with their current job trajectories. And over 70% don't feel appreciated or valued by their employer. If these trends continue, businesses don't just run the risk of losing some of their employees, they run the risk of losing their best employees. But here's the good news. It doesn't have to be this way. Today, cutting-edge brands such as IBM, AT&T, Cisco, Dell, Adobe, Southwest Airlines, and Domo have all come to the same realization. The path to social business lies through empowering the social employee. As a planet, it is your brand's duty to generate enough gravity to hold all your satellites in place. The better your brand defines its mission, vision, and values, the stronger its gravity will be, and the greater pull it will have on each employee. Businesses can build their own network of employee satellites through comprehensive initiatives centered around social media engagement training, employee empowerment and recognition, and engagement tools designed to measure ROI. By building a culture of activated, engaged social employees, your brand will be better positioned to leverage pockets of employee expertise in the marketplace, establish trust and authority in external and internal social networks, and provide comprehensive, authentic customer service. Remember, your brand cannot communicate externally unless it first learns to communicate internally. The social employee journey starts today.
All right, so that's okay. So why is this important? Oh, get back. All right. In the U.S., only 30% of the employees are engaged in business. 52% are not engaged. They're like walking zombies. They do their job, they go home. 18% shouldn't even be in the office because they, okay, maybe we can all relate to that some days, but basically the numbers compare this way. I did some analysis with Gallup, and this wasn't actually easy to pull together because they had some years they did it every 2 years, some years they did it every 4 years. It was just hard to get some of these numbers. But I got Australia, New Zealand, and the US and lined them up. And you can see the difference. And basically, I'll make this simple because of time. But US claims that we use more technologies, more communications to try and reach our employees, build engagement. It shows, too, that even IBM has studies that show that the more surveys you use increases engagement by 68 to 70%. PricewaterhouseCoopers has a study of 10,000 employees, and these employees are willing to use social media if they ensure job stability. So there's a lot of different things. To move a little quicker, we really do need to think about leaders, and I am really strong on leaders because that's my new mission in life, working especially with the Economist. And the leaders need to be involved, and they need to have some say. And as John Hagel would say, and I agree with him, if the CEO can't do it, then there has to be a management team placed under that, or it's under the C-suite, to kind of coordinate a social business and work with lower level management. This is David Edelman. He's a real social media person, social business guy. He's the author of my foreword. David blogs, he tweets. He's McKinsey and Company's and brand ambassador, so to say. Tom Peters is a brand ambassador for his own brand, continues to be. John Hagel is another one. 3 people I strongly respect. This is the work I did with The Economist. We went around the world. I mean, well, we didn't physically leave, but I did present my findings in Milan, Italy. But we spent months running the core criteria of a social business leader. And I have to tell you why that's important. One major issue, and we're going to get to that, but I wanted to say there were 25 selected around the world. And the one major criteria was being a storyteller. storytelling was one of the most important aspects of any leader. And the reason why, because behind every brand, behind every executive, there is a story. Marketing can't tell that story for that executive. Within that story is the brand of the employee and the brand of the company. And coming together becomes, I wanted to tell you the story about Wendy. Wendy was one of the top 25 Economist selections. Wendy works for TD Bank in the US, a bank that you would think would not have social media. But Wendy started reverse mentoring. She used connections, and she was very strong in the fact that she knew she had to start small, and she knew she had to build out. So that is one of the most important things. You must start with the pilot program. So I need to move a little quicker. I want to tell you about some of the big brands. These are the brands in the book, and probably the best learning from IBM is they allowed all their employees to build, or 300 of them, to build their own social guidelines. That was important to them. They didn't go to lawyers. They had their employees build it because they were the ones that were going to use it. Adobe, they don't put hard, fast social rules in place. They've set up what they call social guidelines, a little softer. If they know their people are going to make mistakes, but they're going to work with them, they're going to train them. Southwest Airlines. Southwest Airlines was social before the term social media it was even coined. Southwest Airlines believes in treating your employees great first, and they will go out and treat the customers better. So this is a story about Domo, Josh James. I don't know if any of you know about Domo. Domo was the small brand in my book. They wanted to be in the book so bad, and because there was a problem, McGraw-Hill would only wanted me to work with the big brands. But Domo kept putting a great story in front of me, saying that, Cheryl, tell our story, please, because we have a great story. And it turned out they did. They mandated that every one of their employees become social. And what they did is did leaderboards with their social activity and made it public. Now, I wouldn't recommend that. I'm just telling you what they chose to do. And the reason why they really did it, because they knew they were the marketplace that had to get out there. They didn't have the budget to advertise. They had competitors, so they had to get out there. And their whole premise was, if they could just prove that they could get their message out there, they could be one of the leading brands. Today, they're valued at $1.3 billion. And when I started to write the book, I think it was like 50 million. So that's just in a year and a half. So I will tell you one good thing about another brand, Mitel. Mitel, over the weekend, read the book, decided to turn their company into a social business. And within a few months, they trained 1,600 employees. As a result, my book and their story was written up in the MIT Sloan Business Review book for the Winter Report, talking about you must either read the book or find case studies because it does prove to be successful. And I know it's not an easy journey, but what I will tell you, don't do it across the enterprise. Start small, but start today. You can't wait till tomorrow, because if you wait until all the data points line up and you think you've got the perfect solution, those data points are going to change in 6 weeks. So you need to start analyzing, all right, look, let's put a committee together, let's start forming this together and work with our management, work with our people. But right now, if you walk out of here today, walk out at least for your own brand, for who you are. Become a thought leader, start writing. And if you can't write, then send visual pictures or share something. But do things that show you are a digital person. You have a digital footprint. And that's pretty much it. I'm asking you to think about it today. So thank you very much.